Het Aleph. Het Aleph.
Yeah.
Right?
Yud Aleph, we're on to.
Oh, because I opened the page to test Aleph. And you say we're not on that?
We got no, we're gonna, so even Chazorah will be Ches Aleph.
Oh, no, all right. Started the wrong place. Okay, as usual. Okay,
We've
that's what I
missed a couple of days of shear, so yeah.
That's what I have marked. Okay, all right. So we have Yud Aleph base. If a woman,
Yud Aleph.
okay, I'll do that one also. If a man may marry the relatives of the women he raped or seduced, if he rapes or seduces her relatives after he married her, he is liable. A man may marry the woman.
No, wait, that's not. If he.
Yud Aleph.
Oh yes, that's right. He's chayav. That's correct. He's chayav because he's having relations then with a woman who's asked to him by pares. Yeah.
A man may marry the woman raped or seduced by his father, or the woman raped or seduced by his son. Rabbi Yehuda prohibits the woman raped or seduced by his father.
And we saw that machlokes before actually, and so Rabbi Yehuda is the one who says that any woman that his father had relations with is asked to him forever, even if it was nus.
If a woman's son converted with her, they perform neither chalitza or yibum, even if the first was not conceived in sanctity but was born in sanctity, and the second was conceived and born in sanctity. So too in the case of a slave woman whose sons were emancipated with her.
Right. So the status of the children goes after their conception, because Gerim, when they convert, are considered like newborn babies.
Right.
So even though biologically they're brothers, they're nonetheless not. They're considered halachically unrelated to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If the babies of 5 women became confused with one another, and they grew to adulthood and married and died, 4 perform chalitza with one widow, and 1 may perform yibum with her. He and 3 others perform chalitza with another widow, and 1 may perform yibum with her. Thus, 4 chalitzas and 1 yibum are performed with each widow.
Okay, so this situation, we've got 5 unrelated people who got confused at birth, right? Okay, I don't know if it was more likely for that to happen in times of Mishna than it is now. They do tend to take precautions, slapping the wristband on the babies immediately, but I guess it could happen. But now we're going to deal with some more of these interesting cases now, and they're going to get complicated with what happens if 2 babies got mixed up at birth, and we don't know what their status is. So the first case that we just did that you just did Chazara on is of 5 unrelated babies, all the Israelim, and what do you do with Yibum with them if we don't know which one it is? Then all of the brothers of all of the 5 deceased now have to come and do chalitza in case they're the brother, in case they're the real brother. Okay.
Do they do that? I haven't never been in the delivery room, so do they do that immediately as soon as the baby has come out? That they like to put a wrist right on it right then, almost. Unless there's an emergency.
Yeah, immediately, unless there's anything wrong with the baby, right? There needs just immediately medical attention. But basically, as soon as they've cut the cord, they put it on the scale and they're already labeling it to make sure that nothing goes wrong. While at least while access is controlled to the delivery room, no possibility of switching. But the baby doesn't leave the delivery room before it's been labeled thoroughly on every limb.
Oh, I was going to ask you, they put it on the wrist or they put it on the feet? Or
on every limb.
Every limb. Wow. Yep. Amazing.
Yeah.
I know they're pretty strict now with all the security and everything. I know that's a whole.
They are very strict when it comes to access to the delivery room. Like the father has to show his wristband to be let in. Right. So into the maternity ward, even you can't go into the maternity ward unless you're presenting your thing. And if you want to take the baby out, they check. Is this your baby? They check all the wrist bracelets and whatever, so that you're not swapping babies out. Okay. Okay. So Mishna Daled. Ha'isha shenis'arev vlada bivlad kalasa. So now, what's the situation you've got? Is that you've got the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law are giving birth at the same time. Okay, and their children got mixed up. So we don't know who's who. Basically, and you've got, let's say you've got two boys are born from the situation. So one of them is the brother-in-law now of the color of the daughter-in-law. Right? She's now got a brother-in-law, and one of them is a grandson of his grandmother. Okay, so now so these two boys grow up. They both marry women and they both die. Okay, so now the other children of the daughter-in-law, I think we're going to have to do whiteboards again. So this is,
I think so.
Okay, here we go. So, where are you? Let me put you onto the right screen so I can see you. Okay, so let's have the mother-in-law over here. Okay, so she has a child and she has a child. So there are two women over here, a mother-in-law and a daughter-in-law. So we will call them
enemy.
should we give them? We'll give them names, okay? So
Okay.
So these two are married, and this is her son. Okay, and this is her Vadai son. Now we're going to change colors over here for a second. Let's change into the red ones. So she has another baby over here. Okay, these are the red boys are the ones in question. Okay. Okay, and they have and yes, we're going to have we're going to have to join some other boys over here because she's got other children. She and her husband have got blue children, let's just say. Okay, as a boy, and they've got another boy over here who's definitely theirs.
So the mother-in-law has this blue baby, the red one, and the green, correct?
Okay. So the mother-in-law has got three sons.
Right.
Okay, the one son in green is married to this woman over here, and they've also got another son over here in blue. They've got the two blue sons, and the two red sons are the ones who are mixed up, and we don't know who they are. It could be that they're interchangeable. Now they got married.
So they're mixed up. The daughter could have the
red ones,
mothers
the red
and the
ones
mother
got
could have
mixed
the
up, and we don't know whose son they really are. Okay, so now each of them is married to well, let's give them another color. Let's give them orange wives. Okay, right, so he's married to an orange wife and he's married to an orange wife. Okay, so now these two guys have died. The two reds have died. Now the question is, what can the blue brothers who are surviving, okay, what are they supposed to do? Okay, now can this brother come and do, so let's just put a little X through these guys because these guys are now dead. Okay.
So can the daughter's blue son do Kalitza or even with the orange one? Is that
okay? So now definitely Chalitza is always going to be permitted because Chalitza is always permitted. Either it's a meaningless act or you're releasing her. But Yevamos is the problem that we're trying to deal with over here. So now let's take a look at this brother over here. Okay, so now he's looking at this he's looking at his sister-in-law over here. Can he do Chalitza or Yibum with either of these wives, right? Because these two wives are a safek. It could be that this is his brother's wife over here, in which case it's a mutar yibum. Or it could be that this is his uncle's wife, right? Because this over here is his father. In green is his father. In red is his uncle. And his uncle's wife is asked to him as an erba. That's one of the forbidden relationships, is the uncle's wife.
Right.
Right. So because of the safek now, we're not sure whether this is his brother's wife or his uncle's wife. So therefore, he's not allowed to do yibum. He must do chalitza to both of them. But this brother over here, he looks at them and he says, okay, the wives are safek. This might be my brother's wife over here, or it might be my nephew's wife over here. Now, there's no issur of a nephew's wife. That's not a problem. The Torah never asked a nephew's wife. So therefore, he would be permitted to do yibum on both of them. Because we might have
both aren't.
Because either after this brother has done chalitza on both of them, then he can then he knows that either this is a woman who's had a chalitza and therefore she's mutar to me, or else she's my brother's wife, in which case she's my yevama.
So the boy in blue, the mother's boy in blue can do.
So this one can do
right.
So this one can only do chalitza. He must do chalitza on both of them, but this one can do yibum on either of them.
On either of them, right? He doesn't. Right. He wouldn't do both of them. Just either.
Both of them. You see, they independently require yibum because they're two husbands and two widows. So each of them requires chalitza or yibum. So
that's a sister. That's a sister-in-law.
Yeah, which one?
Right, that's a sister-in-law, right? Okay.
Okay. So we got that the uncle over here, this guy over here, he can do yibum to either of them once his nephew has done chalitza to both of them.
Right.
Because that covers his safek. Okay, so that's what we see in the Mishna. B'nai HaKala, the sons of the Kala over here can do chalitza, but they may not do yibum because it's a safek whether it's his brother's wife or his uncle's wife. But the sons of the grandmother can do either chalitza or yibum because it's a safek if it's his brother's wife or his nephew's wife. Okay. Now what happens if it's the other way around? Okay. Okay, so now let's say we've got a different situation over here. It's the same setup, but now instead of the tarovet guys having died, we've got a different situation where we've got let's draw again in a different color. Let's go back to blue. Right, he's married to this woman over here, right? And he's married to this woman over here. Okay. And now what's happened is that the two safek guys are still alive, but their brothers died. This brother died. This brother died. Okay. So now these widows have fallen for yibum. What do these now? Assuming that this guy is out of the picture because he's a vadai brother, he could let's say he already died, but he's got obviously he's got children, so he's not that's not in the picture. So now comes the two red guys, the guys who are in safek. What's going to be the halacha? So now it's going to be actually a kind of a reverse position because now he's going to look at this. He's going to look at this widow and say, look, it's possible that she's my brother's wife, but what's also possible is that I'm actually this guy over here and this is my uncle's wife. Remember, these two guys are interchangeable.
Right.
Okay, so they're interchangeable, and now he's got to look at himself. I could be here or I could be here. So I can't do yibum with her because because I might be this guy here and then she's my uncle's wife. asur. But this guy over here takes a look at the widow over here and says, look, I'm and both of them have got the same halacha. So they both look at this woman and say, this woman needs a chalitza from both of us, because neither of us can say for certain that we're the brother's wife, that we're the brother of her husband. Okay, so both of us need to give her a chalitza. But this woman over here, who is vadai, married to this guy, she's either my brother's wife or she's my nephew's wife. In which case, one of them can do chalitza to her, and one of them can do yibum. So let's see that in the Mishnah. So they have to they both have to give her a chalitza. Because it's a safek whether it's his brother's wife or his uncle's wife. One of them must do chalitza first to make sure that she's free if it turns out that she's right. And the other one can do yibum, because either she'll be his brother's wife, in which case he's doing the yibum, or else it's his nephew's wife who has already had a chalitza, in which case she's mutter to him in any case. Okay,
I think.
Okay, we're good. Let's save this picture.
Yeah. It's
yeah. This is the beauty of Yevamos. Okay, a little less complicated now. So here's the wife of a Kohen who gives birth at the same time as her shifta. Okay, now, and the child and the two boys get mixed up. Okay, so now we've got a situation where one child is a Kohen and the other child is an Eved, but he's an Eved of a Kohen. Okay, so one of the two is, I'm just gonna stop the share for now. Okay, we didn't get confused. So one of these boys is a Kohen and the other one is an Eved. Both of them are permitted to eat truma, right? Because whether he's a Kohen or the Eved of a Kohen is allowed to eat truma. However, they only get one portion if they go to the custom was that at the threshing floor, the Kohanim would go to the threshing floor to take the truma. So they'd be given, so that the farmers would give out a portion of truma right then and there to the various Kohanim coming and asking. But only Kohanim are entitled to get a portion. Avadim are not entitled to, because they're being fed from their master's property, but they themselves don't have an entitlement. So the Kohen is allowed to feed them from his truma, but the Eved has no intrinsic right to go and ask for truma. Only the Kohen can. Okay, so they only get one chelek in the going between the two of them. And neither of them is allowed to become tamei for a mace. Why? You've got a safek. So everything over here now, we've got it. The halachas of safek going to come into play. That everywhere we have a d'oraisa, the safek d'oraisa is going to be lahachmir. So we've got to be machmir in both of them. Neither of them can become tamei. Ein nosim nashim, and neither of them may marry a woman at all. Okay, why can't they marry a woman? Because a kohen has to marry a kashera, and an eved cannot marry a Yisraelis at all. If he's going to marry, he's got to marry a shifta, and a kohen's not allowed to marry a shifta, so they're not allowed to get married. Ben kasheras, ben kasulas. It doesn't matter what woman. There's no woman who's kosher for both of them. Now, what happens when they grow up? So it says if the Mishnah is phrased as if they freed each other, but really that's actually the halach is that they must, in order to remove themselves from the safek. Each one of them should say, "If I am the master, then hare, you are freed." And then the other one does the same thing for the other one, just to be sure that both of them are now completely Jews. And there's no evidence involved here, but one of them is still one is a safek kohen and one is a safek. Both of them are safek kohen, safek ger, or safek eved meshufrar. Basically, an eved meshufrar is basically a ger. Okay, so what's the halacha then? Again, because you've got the safek, nosim nashim re'uyis lekahuna. Then both of them have to marry women who are kasher lekahuna. Okay, a ger is allowed to marry a woman who's kasher l'kohen. It's just got to be a Yisraelis or a Levia, right? Or even a bas kohen. A ger is allowed to marry a bas kohen. It's fine. They're just got to be kasher for a kohen, and both of them can marry. Okay. The einan mitamin lemason, and neither of them is allowed to become tameh still, because one of them is for sure a kohen. The im nitamu einan softim arba'im. However, if one of them deliberately became tameh for a mace and he was warned and everything, nonetheless he doesn't get lashes because you can't prove that he's the kohen. So if you can't prove it, you can't lash him. The einan ochtim b'truma. Neither one is allowed to eat truma now, because only an eved of a kohen is allowed to eat truma, but Israel's not allowed to eat truma. So therefore, neither of them is allowed to eat truma. But if he ate truma, einan mishalmin keren b'chomish. That if he actually went ahead and ate truma, you can't fine him, you can't make him pay the keren b'chomish that Israel would normally have to pay for eating truma, because he'll say, "Prove to me that I'm not the kohen." Right? You want to extract payment from me, then you must prove that I'm not the kohen. And neither of them is entitled to take a portion from the goren, because the farmer is going to say, "Prove to me that you're the kohen. You could be the Yisrael," so he doesn't have to give them. And all the other kohenim can say to him, "Why are you taking a portion that should belong to us? Prove to me that you're a kohen." Or mochrin esa truma, and if they have truma in the possession, they're entitled to sell it. They can't eat it, but they're entitled to sell it. And the money's theirs. Nobody can take it away from them because they can't prove that he's not a kohen. And they don't get a share of any kodshim that are in the Beis HaMikdash, because neither of them is allowed to serve in the Mikdash. And you're not allowed to give them kodshim either. But if they have kodshim in their hands, you can't take it away from them. Again, they're allowed to give it as a gift to another kohen, let's say, in order to earn a favor. That's fine. And the priestly gift. So when you shecht a chulin animal, you have to give the gifts to the kohen of the foreleg and the jaw and the maw. And if he has a bechor, if he has an animal who's a bechor, then he's allowed to keep it for himself and let it pasture until it develops a mom, and then they're allowed to eat it. Okay, because you can't prove to him that he's not a kohen, and if any kohen wants to claim it, they've got to prove that it's not his. The nosnin alav chumrei kohanim v'chumrei Yisraelim, and that kind of summarizes, that last phrase summarizes their halacha, is that you've got suffix kohen, suffix Israel, so they have the chumras of kahuna and the chumras of Yisrael. So the chumras of kahuna, obviously, that he has to marry kasher kahuna, and that he has to that he's not allowed to become tameh. But they're also chumras of the Israelim that they're not allowed to enter the areas of the Azara, and they're not allowed to get all the entitlements of the Kohen. So these are the chumras in both directions. Okay, Mishna Vav. A very similar situation of a safek. Instead of children getting mixed up, you now have a situation. We said before that there's a halacha that if a woman is divorced or widowed, she has to wait 3 months before she remarries, because she might be pregnant. Okay, and if she's pregnant, you want to know that this came from her first husband. Now she went ahead, she got divorced, and like the next day she went and remarried, and now she turns up pregnant, and we don't know whether this child belongs to the first or the second husband. We've done a DNA test or the like. Okay. The Nisa is the Yalda. So now she's and we don't know if this is a 9-month fetus of the first husband or a 7-month fetus of the second husband. In truth, it doesn't. You don't need to go to the extremes of 9 months or 7 months. It could be that it was within a week, and you just really don't know which it is. Okay, so we're going to have to do some more drawings. So let's do that whiteboard again. Okay, and clear the whole picture. All right, so we have husband number 1, okay, and a wife, and husband number 2. And now she has a child. Who is okay. So now she has a child, and we don't know, if it's from him or from him. So we don't know who the father is. Okay. So, but now this, what we do have as a vadai is that okay. Hayula banim min harishon ubanim min hasheni. Okay, but now what we do know is that there were other brothers who were vadai. He's got older brothers from this marriage over here. Okay, and he's got other brothers from this marriage here. So these are definitely his brothers through the mother, but it's a suffix whether these are brothers through their father or not. Okay. And remember, we know that Yevon always goes through the father, not through the mother. The theory of Yevon. Okay. So now, what happens? Okay. So now, if he dies, if the suffix child dies, then each brother has to do chalitza. So if he's got a wife, okay, and he dies, then each of these two brothers has to do chalitza to this wife. Why? Because it's a suffix if it's his full brother or only his brother through his mother. So his brother through his so if the widow of his brother through his mother, there's no way that he can ever marry this woman. It's an erva. Okay, because there's no chiyuv of yibum. But she might be the brother through his father, in which case she needs a chalitza at least. So each of these brothers here needs to give his wife chalitza.
And only one gives yibum?
No yibum at all. Neither of them is allowed to give yibum.
Okay.
Because we've got the suffix as to whether it's his brother, it's a full brother or only a brother through the mother.
All right, okay.
And the brother through the mother has no yibum at all. It would be an erva for them to be married, and that suffix you can't take chances with that suffix. So each one of them must give her a chalitza. Okay. And the same thing is true in the reverse direction. If either of his brothers dies and leaves over a wife, right? Because these brothers have also got wives over here. Okay. If either of them dies, then he must give the wife chalitza. He can't give them to yibum because again it's the same suffix just in the other direction. That might only be his brother through the mother. Now this man has got a different wife. They've got two wives. Let's say he had two wives, and now these two have got another son who's over here. Okay, and now we know that they have different mothers. Okay, so now it's the same on either side. I'm not going to draw it on the other side as well, because it's the same suffix, just in symmetry.
Right.
Okay, so now this brother over here is the suffix one over here. We don't know if this over here is his brother at all. It's possible that this is his brother through his father, in which case there's a chiyuv of yibum. What's possible that he's completely unrelated? Because if he's this man's son, then this brother over here is not a brother at all. Are you with me?
Let's say that again. If he's this.
Okay, so we're looking at the relationship between him and him. What's the situation? Okay, we don't know who his father is, remember. If this man over here is his father, then they share a father, right? And then this woman requires a yibum from him. But if he is the son of this man over here, if he's only a son of the second husband, okay, and this is his mother and this is his father, this brother here has got this father and this mother. By the way, can you see my pencil when I move it on the screen? Or
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's possible that they're unrelated. Okay, you hear that? That's it's that this man over here is either his half brother through his father or he's unrelated. So that's your safek. Now, if that's your safek, then there's no reason why he shouldn't do yibum with this woman.
Right.
Because either it's his brother through his father, in which case he's doing the mitzvah of yibum, or she's unrelated, in which case he can go and he's allowed to marry her anyway. So let's see that in the Mishnah. Then he is permitted to do chalitza or yibum. No problem there. But in the reverse direction, it's since he's a safek, I'm actually going to have to draw in the other direction as well. There's another wife over here. Okay, and now there's another son over here. So now the ones that we're interested in at the moment are these two relationships over here. So now if this brother over here dies, just get a little red over here. He dies. Oh, I didn't get the right color. Whatever. He dies. Okay. So now we've got this woman over here, who might be falling for yibum. So now one of these two men over here, either this guy or this guy, is his real half brother. We know that they've got different mothers.
Right.
So now, one of them, Vadai, is his half brother, and one of them, Vadai, is unrelated. So that means that if one of them wants to marry this woman over here, let's say, so this guy over here is going to have to come and do chalitza to release her in case he's really the brother, and then this guy over here can come and he can do chalitza or yibum, because now, either it's his brother and he's doing yibum, or else she's a free woman and unrelated, and she was married to a man who was unrelated to him. In which case, in both cases, he's allowed to marry her.
It's really complicated.
Yeah, yeah. That's Yevamos for you. We have these complicated family relationships. But if you study the relationship and look at what's the safek, what are the possibilities, it all follows very logically what you can and cannot do, and what the obligation is in each direction. If you just have in your mind what is the safek, is this the safek, what are the possibilities of the safek, and say, okay, whatever happened with the safek, whatever happened in this case, if it's this way, then the halacha will be this. If it's this way, then the halacha will be that. If the two halachas aren't in conflict, then fine. So, for example, either it's his brother's wife, and it's a mitzvah, or else he's unrelated, in which case she's also mutar. So in both cases, she's mutar. Then she's mutar. But if there's a safek that maybe this is going to be an asur relationship, then he can't. Then he has to give her a chalitza.
All right. Save that whiteboard.
Yes, I already saved the whiteboard. I'll share it on the WhatsApp. Okay, fine. We are ready to do chazaras. Okay, let's go. Perek Ches Aleph.
Aleph, Ches Aleph. I can make your head spin. Uncircumcised and all those who are tamei may not eat truma, but their wives and slaves may eat truma. One with mutilated testicles or one whose phallus was severed, they and their slaves may eat, but their wives may not eat. However, if they did not cohabitate with her after his testicles were mutilated or his phallus was severed, she may eat. Who is considered someone with mutilated testicles? Anyone whose testicles were cut, even if only one of them. And who is considered a person whose phallus was severed? Anyone whose phallus was cut off. However, if even a hair's breadth of the corona remained, he is fit. Persons with mutilated testicles or severed phalluses are permitted to marry a convert or an emancipated slave woman, but they are forbidden only to enter into the congregation, as it is stated. A person with mutilated testicles or a severed phallus may not enter the congregation of God. The Ammonite and Moabite are prohibited from marrying into the congregation, and their prohibition is perpetual. However, their women are permitted immediately. The Egyptian and the Edomite are prohibited but from marrying into the congregation only until 3 generations. They replied to him, if this is a precept handed down, we will accept it, but if it's a ruling, there is rebuttal to it. He said to them, not so. What I say is a precept. Mamzerim and Nisanites are prohibited from marrying into the congregation, but their prohibition is perpetual, both male and female. Forget where this came up in the Torah. It comes up about marrying, was it in Rus that it comes up? I don't remember where it was. You know what I'm talking about?
Right, because Rus was a Moabite.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Yoma?
So now we are in Moed Katan, yes?
Okay, more cotton. Okay. Stacked up differently. Okay, base Gimel. A person may bring in his fruit because of thieves and remove his flax from the soaking pot so that it does not become ruined, provided he does not plan his work for Kol HaMoed. In all these cases, if they plan their work for Kol HaMoed, it shall be forfeited. We may not purchase homes nor slaves nor domestic animals except for use during the festival, or to provide for the needs of the seller who otherwise has nothing to eat. We may not move objects from one house to another, but we may move objects from one house to another within his courtyard. We may not bring vessels from the artisan's shop, but if one fears for them, he may move them into a different courtyard. We may cover drying figs with straw. Rabbi Yehuda says we may even stack them. Vendors of fruit, clothing, and utensils may sell their wares in private for use during the festival. Trappers, cereal makers, and bean pounders may ply their trade in private for festival needs, and Rabbi Yossi says they impose a stringency upon themselves.
Okay. Yoma, starting Yoma today.
All right. So over here. Okay. Yoma. Okay, Aleph. 7 days before Yom Kippur, they sequester the Kohen Gadol from his house to the official's chamber, and they prepare another Kohen to serve as a substitute, lest he become disqualified. Rabbi Yehuda says they also prepare another wife for him, lest his wife die. For it is said, and he shall make atonement for himself and for his house that is his wife. They said to him, if so, there is no end to the matter. Of all these 7 days, he throws the blood, burns the incense, prepares the lamps, and offers the head and the hind leg. On all other days of the year, if he wishes to offer any sacrifice, he may offer it. He may offer it. For the Kohen Gadol has the first right to offer and the first right to take a portion. They provide him sages from among the sages of the court who read to him about the service of the day. Then they say to him, my Lord Kohen Gadol, read with your own mouth. Perhaps you have forgotten, or perhaps you have not learned. And on the morning of the eve of Yom Kippur, they stand him at the eastern gate, and they lead before him oxen, rams, and sheep, that he should recognize them and be conversant in their service.
Shavius.
Okay. One may not give a well digger, a bath attendant, a barber, or a sailor, but one may give a well digger to drink, and to all one may give as a gift. Figs of the 7th year may not be laid out on a drying floor, but may be laid out on an empty space. One may not tread grapes in a wine press, but he may tread them in a kneading trough. And one may not crush olives in an olive press or a crusher, but he may crush them and put them into small olive press. Rabbi Shimon says he may even grind them in an olive press and put them into a small olive press. One may not cook 7th year vegetables in truma, the oil lest he cause it to become unfit. But Rabbi Shimon permits, and the last one becomes liable to the 7th year, and the produce itself is forbidden. Caleb. Okay. Comes Zion test. Concerning a sheep that contracted midrash tumah and was then made into a curtain, it becomes tahor from midrash tumah, but it is tameh due to contact with a midrash. Rabbi Yossi says, which midrash did this sheep touch? Rather, in contact tumah only if the zav himself touches it, rendering it tameh on account of the zav's touching. If a cloth that is 3 handbreadths by 3 handbreadths was divided, each half is towel from midrash tuma, but is tummy due to contact with the midrash. Rabbi Yossi says, which midrash did this clean this cloth touch? Rather, each half is tummy only if the zav himself touched the garment, rendering it tummy on account of the zav's touching. If a piece of clothing measuring 3 handbreadths by 3 handbreadths was in a trash heap, it remains susceptible to tuma only if it is intact and capable of being used to wrap salt in. But if it was in the house, it is susceptible to tuma if it is intact, either intact or capable of being used to wrap salt in. How much salt must one be able to wrap in the cloth? A quarter kav. Rabbi Yehuda says fine salt, but the comments say coarse salt. Both this one and that one intend to rule uniquely. Reb Shimon says a piece of cloth 3 handbreadths by 3 handbreadths that was in a trash heap in the same as a piece of cloth 3 fingerbreadths by 3 fingerbreadths that was in a house. Okay. And Shavuos. Okay. Hey, babe. What is the case of the oath of deposit? Someone said to him, "Give me my deposit that I have in your possession." And he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession." Or he replied, "You have nothing in my possession." To which the other said, "I adore you." And he said, "Amen." And he is liable. If you adored him 5 times, either in court or out of court, and he denied it, he is liable for each one. Reb Shimon, what is the reason? Because he can retract and confess. If 5 people were pressing claims against him, and they said to him, "Give us the deposits we have in your possession," to which he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession. He is liable only once." But if he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession, nor you, he is liable for each one. Reb Eliezer says, not unless he says, "I swear," at the end. And Reb Shimon says, not unless he says, "I swear," to each one. If someone said to him, "Give me the deposit, the loan, the stolen article, the lost article that I have in your possession," and he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession," he is liable only once. But if he replied, "I swear that you have in my possession neither a deposit, a loan, a stolen article, nor a lost article," he is liable for each one. If someone said to him, give me the wheat, barley, and spelt that I have in your possession," and he replied, "I swear that you have nothing in my possession," he is liable only once. But if he replied, "I swear that you have in my possession neither wheat, barley, nor spelt," he is liable for each one. The mayor says, even if he says a wheat, barley, or spelt, he is liable for each one. If someone said to him, "You violated or seduced my daughter," and he replied, "I did not violate her, nor did I seduce her," to which he said, "I adore you," and he replied, "Amen," he is liable. Reb Shimon exempts him since he does not pay a fine by his own admission. And they said to him, although he does not pay a fine by his own admission, he pays the indemnity for shame and impairment by his own admission.
Okay. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. I will see you tomorrow.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem.
Okay. Thank you. Have a great day, Shul. Thank you. Bye.